Greetings and bienvenue, Midnight Crew. Thank you for returning to this broadcast, and welcome to new viewers joining us for the first time. If you like a video, then feel free to subscribe.
Some viewers may find the following video disturbing. Viewer discretion is advised.
Hey/X/. I don't see a nope thread or scary personal experiences thread. Innerwoods is cool too. I'll start with mine. B7. Staying in a hotel with my mom and little sister. Playing in the indoor pool. 2 other kids in the pool. Their mom talking with my mom. An older girl my age. Her little brother is my sister's age. The older girl is chubby and will not pull her wet hair out of her face. She has a huge purple and blue bulbous veiny lump on her neck. We swim to the deep end because little kids are lame. She is from Canada, her parents are divorced, and she had her umbilical cord wrapped around her neck in her mom's belly, so her neck is weird. Her little brother calls out to his sister to come bring him to the deep end. His mom gets pissed and pulls him out. My little sister gets out too. The older girl laughs at her brother, making him cry more. Awkward.jpg. We swim to the ladder in the deep end. She goes under for a really long time, then shows me how she blows bubbles under the rungs and sucks them up so she can breathe underwater. I will try. She jams my head between the rungs of the ladder and I freak out. My mom pulls me out of the water by my arm, shrieking. It was the girl's mom. There is no girl, do not be a liar like your father. I look around. No girl. Nope.jpg. The most unexplained thing that's ever happened to me.
I've never seen anything spooky for certain, but I did get creeped out a lot when I worked as a nighttime janitor and odd job contractor for a bit under 4 years. The churches were absolutely the most unsettling places to be at night. I get a job with a lazy, unreliable buddy cleaning businesses at night. My lazy buddy proves too lazy to rely upon. I start cleaning a few places on my own. I go to the biggest bank in town. I start a 3-hour job at 11 p.m. I slap on sound-canceling headphones and plug away at the to-do list. I keep on hearing what sounded like a plastic grocery bag crinkling right behind my head, with my headphones on. I whip off my headphones constantly and get unsettled by not having a buddy to blame the noise on. I finish the shift without any real problems and have to bring supplies down to the basement storage room. I take the elevator down 1 level. The basement is in a state of disrepair due to a flood. There is no drywall, no light switches, no carpet. The only light source is one solitary floodlight at the very far end of the basement shining through all of the wall studs. I get my supplies to the storage room. I take the mop bucket acting as a doorstop and wash it out. The heavy door shuts behind me. No worries. I am finally ready to leave the storage room. I push the handle down and try to open the door like any normal person would push a door open. The door opens a quarter of the way. I suddenly feel the door get pushed back closed while my hand is still on the handle. I slam my shoulder against the door since I had already started walking through it. I yelp like a... I jump back from the door opening as it gets pushed shut. The door slams shut aggressively, with no noise or indication that anything fell against it on the outside. I lose my mind in that storage room while rummaging through my pockets and pull out a shitty flip phone for some light again. I try not to panic. I panic some more. I man up, pull out my pocket knife, barrel my way through the door and make a mad dash for the elevator, too afraid to look back. I feel no resistance on the door like before. The floodlight is still the only light source. I cannot see anything but the reflection off the metal elevator door. I mash that open button like my life depends on it. I cram myself through the elevator doors as soon as I can fit. I mash that close button and do not see anything out there in the low light immediately behind me. I hear a loud crack sound from the corner with the floodlight just as I am pressing the main floor button. I see a gray shape slowly go from leaning against the wall to being on the ground. The noise sounds like a box of long industrial fluorescent light bulbs being thrown down. On the main floor, I get to the security system, punch in the code and get out of Dodge without going back to the kitchen for my headphones and Powerade. I started doing that shift when there were a few accountants hanging around finishing up their paperwork, and the ones who had worked there for 20 or 30 years seemed to think that there was a really creepy aura about that place, even before the building got wrecked. They'd mention things like the dials on their radios turning from quiet to loud when nobody was anywhere near it, or the automatic sinks and toilets going off on their own when nobody was in the washroom. The whole place felt like it was designed as a set for a slasher movie because of all the eerie white lighting and long dark hallways with dark offices on both sides. Pretty much every business owner I cleaned for seemed to think their building was haunted because they were all over 60-year-old brick and wood shops that had been fixed up over the years.
Not paranormal, but still kind of entertaining. 4 hours ago, vacationing with my fiance's extended family in the Midwest. The spare room is all junked up. We are sleeping on an air mattress in the basement. The basement is filled with children's toys and NASCAR shit, some of which is both at the same time. My fiance wakes up, I guess, to go to the bathroom because her leaving the air mattress wakes me up and I gotta piss. I get up after a few minutes to follow, but I am all tangled in the sheets. I cannot find the light switch. The basement is lit solely by some red Christmas lights on one tree in the corner, and I am hungover. I finally get to the bottom of the stairs just as she is closing the door to come back down. She freezes. I am literally that hulking, dark humanoid figure in the spooky basement. I try to calm her down by saying hi. My dumb alcohol-parched vocal cords fail me completely. I realize by the look on her face that I look like I stepped out of a Junji Ito manga, and sound like the thing in The Grudge. She nopes at a significant fraction of the speed of light, but fumbles with the doorknob a bit. I wonder for a split second if she was looking at me or behind me. One of her cousin's stupid electronic NASCAR pieces of shit spontaneously starts making revving noises that in other circumstances would not have been horrifying, but screw it. They sounded like roaring death there in the silent darkness. I proceed directly to nope. I do not even realize that I am now basically rushing up the stairs at her, still sounding like death hungover. She tripped over her own feet. I tripped over the top stair and took a header right into her. We both managed to laugh it all off, and I stumbled off to take the much-needed piss, but damn, I'm just happy I didn't give her a heart attack. Good morning.
Be me. 3 years ago, about midnight. Drinking with my cousin and her friends at some abandoned school on the outskirts of Tucson, Arizona. My cousin's friend, who we can call Pat, gets really dickish when he first gets drunk. I tell him to go into the next room. He gets pissed and walks off to the classroom over. After about 40 minutes, we hear a big crash. We run to the next classroom to make sure Pat is not dead. We see Pat standing in front of a big hole in the wall and a broken chalkboard. "I did not do anything," he says. We all look at him like he is autistic and then look at the hole. We all freeze as we see what looks like a staircase in the wall leading down. Oh shit, .swf. I look at Pat and say he should go down there since he broke the wall. "Fuck it," Pat says as he turns on his phone light and begins down the stairs. My cousin follows along with some girl that she knew from work. I follow behind them to make sure they do not die. We get downstairs and see 2 narrow hallways with 3 doors on one side. Pat walks down the hall and looks in each room as my cousin stands at the bottom of the stairs. Her friend and I are on the stairs looking down at my cousin. My cousin looks behind her to check the other hallway, and all of a sudden her friend screams. Her friend says she saw someone standing in front of my cousin as she had her head turned. My cousin says, "Bullshit, you were just drunk." Nope.pk. I go back upstairs with the rest of the people. We wait for a bit, and all of a sudden I hear all of them scream as loud as they can. At this point, I believe they had died. My cousin comes running up the stairs with blood all over her arm. Oh, fuck that shit. GIF. We all ran out of there screaming and ran to the cars that we parked at the Domino's about 500 yards through some trees. Apparently, Pat had went to the last room and saw what looked like a child standing in the corner while facing the corner. He then mistook it as an eye game because of a similarly shaped wet spot in the corner. Then Pat says his phone got smacked out of his hand and he screamed. My cousin said when Pat went into the last room, she heard him talking to someone and someone talking back. She then heard someone say right in her ear, "Get the fuck out." She heard him scream and she pushed her friend down and ran up the stairs. In the process of running up, she cut her arm on a piece of wood and it began to bleed badly. Later that month, they contacted the owners to apologize for the damage, and they said they wanted to see what happened. My cousin took them out to the school, and they said they never knew about the staircase. My cousin took them down and found the phone in pieces. It looked like it had been thrown with extreme force instead of smacked out of a hand. I never went back after that, but I might someday and get pics.
Just happened last night. Last night, taking out the trash. I see my new neighbor's driveway light is on. A car I do not recognize is in the driveway with a pissed-off looking guy in the driver's seat. I get the trash to the end of my driveway and start walking back. The guy is walking around my neighbor's house, peeping in windows. I am almost to my house now, so I slow down. While looking in a window, he yells, "Ha, you think I could not find you?" He starts trying to force the window open. I hear my neighbor screaming bloody murder. I am standing there, frozen. The guy stops trying that particular window and goes for another one. But as he does, he sees me. He stands still, staring at me like he is about to kill someone. My face when, nope.jpg. I run into my house and lock the doors and windows. Found out today from her that the guy was her ex-husband that used to beat her so she left him. He apparently found out where she moved 3 states over and was probably going to murder her or kidnap their kids or something. But she called the cops when he was trying to force the windows open, and they showed up like a half hour after he was gone.
Not trying to call the cops at least, or doing anything to help. Fuck you. I hope you get murdered because no one wanted to help your worthless ass.
If anyone's still lurking, this is easily the most memorable and disturbing thing to ever happen to me. My dad is in the federal government and away at some academy. In Cali, I think. This leaves me and my mom, who was 6 months pregnant at the time, alone with our one dog, a lab who was aging pretty badly. We lived in a rich part of Florida, so we were not too worried about the situation. One night, at around 8, I was staying up in the smaller TV room adjacent to the front door, watching Puff the Magic Dragon. My mom had been dealing with the flu for like 2 days and was sleeping on the couch behind me. I cannot fall asleep because this stupid helicopter is flying really low down another street. No big deal. It is the city. Here is where the shit hits the fan. If Mother's intuition was real, this would be the only proof I would need of it. She springs up out of nowhere, tells me to stay on the couch and to not get up. There was a large window just above my head. Then I picked up on what she had heard. The dog was making this really weird whimper or growl noise. She pulls the dog inside without saying a word, locks the door, and immediately gets on the phone and starts crying. We lived close to the city, so the night always had a glow to it from the streetlights and such. It was similar to a full moon, but with orange or yellow light. A huge man standing next to our wooden fence, glancing between our house and neighbors, illuminated by the orange glow. The dog had pissed all over our wooden floor after Mom brought her in. I just ducked my head down like she told me, not knowing what else to do. My mom shuts the curtains and brings me a flashlight and tells me to sit tight and to follow the same plan we all set up for a hurricane. It was Florida. She is still talking on the phone and calming down when we hear commotion out front. She peeks into the window above my head and tells me to lay down while she goes to investigate. I pass out and wake up the next morning to see our neighbor's house on the news. Apparently, this giant 6'10" beast of a man swam into the canal 2 blocks over, ran through one house and 2 backyards, mine included, into our street. The helicopter was responding to 3 consecutive 911 calls. What had happened out front that night before? Someone had accidentally hit him in front of our house with a fucking SUV. I still don't know if it was an actual accident or not, but it took the police paramedics another 15 minutes to get their shit together and apprehend the dude. Don't know if he survived or where he came from or why he had been running. All I know is it took a few days for the shock to wear off.
Be me 19. Just moved out of my parents' place. I live in the shitty part of Miami called Overtown. Gunshots and shit are usual. I am sitting at home watching the tube. My doorbell starts ringing. I do not want any, fuck off! It keeps ringing. I see a guy standing on my front doorstep, bloodshot eyes, bloody chest like he was mauled by a bear, bleeding from his jaw too. I get him in my house and wrap a towel around him and pour water on his cuts. Tell him to hold it. I call the paramedics. I am talking with the 911 operator and she asks if I know what happened to him. I say I thought he was in a really bad car accident. I try asking him. He does not talk, just looks straight ahead. It looks like we are losing him. I hear a loud bang, like pots and pans or some shit. Something metal. I drop the phone and turn around to see if the guy is all right. Nobody is there. No blood on the towels. The blood on the floor is gone. Nope. .png. The paramedics arrive. I tell them it was a prank call, and they lecture me for like 5 minutes for being a dumb teen.
This gets me a little emotional, but I'll talk about it kinda because I feel like I need to know that somebody heard me and could make an empathetic connection with what could make me crazy or just wildly unlucky. I was 3 when I moved to this house in El Paso, Texas. From day one, I saw people in the house that my parents insisted were not there, such as my great-grandfather and my half-sister's father who died 3 years before I was born. I did not know how to read, and no one had ever uttered anything about either of them, yet I played with them and hid from the others. For a bit more than 4 years, I lived in a torturous existence of frequently recurring fear for the strange things that happened that made me question reality, and nowadays my sanity. They say kids have wild imaginations, but I could not imagine things this morbid if I tried. The deep, dark evil did not come around until one day my half-sister had gotten herself a bunny and left it in a little cage. At the end of the night, the bunny was gutted and spread all over by the pool from some stray cat. This was the first time I knew fear this bad, but it is almost as if I was being monitored, or my fear was bait because after the first time I got spooked in that house is when the terrible things started happening. I never saw my great-grandpa or stepdad again, and only saw a dark male figure and a dark female figure walking about in the night and taunting me with showing me their existences, and knowing no one else can see them or understand my fear. One morning when I was going to school, my mom was making breakfast, and she looked at me and said, "How would you like your eggs?" And suddenly the iron stove caught a high flame that reached her head and lit her on fire. She clutched onto me and started screaming at me a sort of "Grah!" while facing me with her burning face, and I just froze and did not react while being grasped so hard by these burning fingers. As if a switch had gone off, I was alone in the room at dawn. I sat in my room crying, "Mommy!" in gasps and tears and snot. Eventually, my mother opened her room door down the hall, and I felt a terror of not knowing what would come. My mom came by wearing a different set of pajamas, but with a warm smile on her face. Seeing her unburned and calm stopped my crying and sense of impending doom, but washed over a wave of uncertainty. And so every other day for the next few years, I would have strange sleepwalking dreams, sleep paralysis, and strange occurrences of me walking into rooms, and either any of my 3 sisters or mom and dad would occupy a room only to leave in such a manner that is obviously not them, such as my dad locking me in my sister's room, and suddenly finding myself alone in my sister's room that can only be locked from the inside and confused. The male and female figure would loom over me and live in the house with the rest of us 6 and terrify me on purpose, or put me in harm's way. To this day, I cannot trust people or creaks and shadows in houses. I kinda want to list a few examples of the things that would happen. They would always mess with me close to bedtime. At midnight, I would wake up and hear provocative things for a child such as, "Go, go, Power Rangers," from my parents' room, and go running in there to realize there was nothing to be giving that sound. But it was always something to keep me awake or psychologically tortured in bed. Once I went to sleep in my room with my window blinds open and suddenly felt my neck being strangled, and I looked, and black-gloved hands groping my neck and crushing my windpipe, not knowing really where they come from. I saw a huge fireball through the window swell up at the top of the hill across the street, start rolling down, and the hands suddenly let me go while I was struggling, and I just kept running out in a straight line out my room, which led me to outside my backyard near a dangerous cliff point to the back of my house, where it is a steep 60-foot drop between my house and the park. I was a kid. I don't know if these dimensions were true. My mom comes out and asks what am I doing by the dangerous part of the house at 5 a.m. I try to answer that I am scared, but she tells me to stop talking and go inside and go back to sleep. I see the bunny corpse right by the pool, despite it being dead for about a few years now and very well cleaned up.
Be 24. Living on a reservation, 2 teepees away from the chief. Long have we told stories of angry wind spirits. The wind spirit comes at night and takes my brothers and sisters away. One night after a feast and ritual, I lay in my teepee. I hear the horses. They are scared. Shadows come around my tent, too big to be a bear, too silent to be human. I grabbed my bow and fled from my teepee. I could hear the spirit behind me. Still I ran through the moonlit field. I do not look back or the spirit will take me. I run a long time to the casino for safety. I tell you in the word of Big Wolf, don't fuck with wind spirits. They're scary as shit.
Alright, if anyone is still lurking at this hour, I have a few stories to tell about the experiences I and my friends had while spending the night in an actual, certified haunted house. The house is called Magnolia Manor. You can Google it to find the official website and cost if interested. The location is in Bolivar, Tennessee. Give me a couple minutes to Greentext the stories, and if people are still interested, I'll tell a few of my own. Pics somewhat related. It's not a photo I took, but a photo of a developed photo given to the owners by someone who stayed there. There's a human-like formation in it. Whether or not it's paranormal is debatable. It's late after arriving. It is around whatever time the Doctor Who finale came on. The only reason I know that is because my friends are downstairs watching it on an old television set. I am upstairs by myself in the room called Annie's room. Pic-related, the room I stayed in with a friend. The only other person upstairs is a parent of one of my friends who tagged along because she is into that stuff. I am literally pissed because no one wants to investigate. They just hope the spooks come to them. Fine, whatever, I will solo. I pull out a potato of a smartphone and begin recording for EVPs. I start asking the most basic of basic questions. Is anyone here with me? I whisper these questions so my friend's mom does not wake up because I think she is asleep. In response to the question, I receive a knock. It is an old house. I gotta make sure this is 100% legit. I continue with questions. Does anyone want to talk? Another knock after asking. I am creeped out but feeling awesome. I go on asking bullshit questions. I should have mentioned this before, and you'll see her portrait in the next bit, but there was a girl that lived there named Annie, and my friend and I were staying in her room. Supposedly, the portrait they have hanging in their most haunted room is of her either right before she died or after her death. The room the portrait is in is connected to the room I'm in, and I will be sleeping in. I balls up and ask the ultimate question. Are you Annie? A feminine sigh from the room I am connected to rings out and every hair on my body stands up. Holy shit. I walk to the room the friend's mom is in. She is wide awake, fearful. Did you hear a crash? No. Did you sigh? No. I run back to the room, thank it, and leave downstairs. I go over the 20 minutes of recording I did for an EVP after returning to my room. I call my brother, who is interested in this stuff more than me. My brother used to see shadow figures at an older house and talk to the dead when younger. He is really in tune with that shit. He does not answer his cell, so I call my youngest brother. He is the biggest coward ever. He tells me I'm insane and need a priest and basically hangs up. Cool. 2 hours go by, and after having them refuse to do a Ouija board with me that I provided, we bed down and get ready for sleep. The brother that actually likes paranormal finally fucking calls. The others are trying to sleep, so I take my potato phone downstairs and answer. We talk, and he decides he wants to try and get something while on the other end. All right, I put him on speakerphone. He says his name, and if anyone that wants to talk to, speak into the phone. 5 minutes go by, and nothing. I go to speak when my brother starts screaming. I am freaking out and keep asking him what is wrong. He says he heard a deep, breathy man's voice over mine when I went to talk. I flip out, thank it and bail because I am too scared. Pick related to house, but not story. Annie's portrait. It's said to move in pictures, like changing expressions. Friend wanted to take a pic and it mapped out a face beside it. She also caught it smiling. Don't have that picture, sadly. Wish I had asked for it. Last one. This one is actually not very reliable, and I don't really think it was paranormal, but it freaked me out and still does. After having my brother freak out on the phone, I cannot sleep. But because I'm so damn exhausted from the 2-hour trip here, I pass out. I wake up to the sound of shit shuffling around beside my side of the bed. It sounds like people are going through my stuff. I am so tired and out of it that the last thing I remember thinking is, well, you will not find anything, so who cares? I fall asleep, and I can hear the sounds in my dream. I dream about being in the room I am in alone. Something is going through my shit looking for something. 2 of my friends are in another room discussing it. One calls out that I need to give the ghost my Ouija board. I had actually brought mine to use during our stay, but yet again no one wanted to, so it remained unused. I screamed back at the friends in the dream to fuck off, and that it was mine. I wake up to voices and see 2 friends bailing out to get to work on time. After they leave, I go to do EVP work again. I get nothing. The rest of the crew wakes up and one confesses to seeing shadow figures that night. Unsure if I believe her story because of how fantastical it is. She claimed to have seen one walking up the stairs and pacing the hallway, and one in a rocking chair in the room I stayed in.
Not necessarily paranormal, but still a bit spooky. This happened to me a few years ago, shopping with my dad in some shopping center. I do not know the area. We were only passing through on our way home. I went to the toilet, left Dad looking at albums and such. I am pissing in the urinal when some older bald dude walks in. He walks up to the urinal next to me, but does not do anything. He just stands there for 10 seconds. Suddenly his head snaps to me. He looks down at me, then looks back up. He has a huge smile on his face, as in too big for his face. He whispers to me in a raspy voice, "Sorry, it seems I'm in the wrong place." He walks out while still looking at me. On one hand, it was terrifying, but on the other, it was the easiest piss I've ever taken.
B4, living with mom and 2 sisters, relaxing one night, watching Scooby-Doo and eating fish sticks, being a boss in my ninja jammies. Mom hears a commotion outside the apartment. What the fuck dot what? Mom is at the door looking out. I crawl up onto the kitchen counter and look out the window. Neighbors are all outside, looking up. Some are pointing. Mom tells us to stay inside, lock the door, and she will be back. Screw that .gif. I gotta know what is happening. My sisters look out the kitchen window while I am sneaking to the front door. My big sis yells, "No, do not." Psh, I'm gone. I run up to Mom. She is with everyone else looking up. Her hand is over her mouth. I tug on her pants pocket. She gets pissed and swats me with her flip-flop. She yells at me, "Get in the house! What did I tell you?" I look up while running back. 3 round glowing balls in the sky flying and zipping around. Wow, cool. Mom yells again. Boy, if I gotta tell you one more time. I go inside and my little sis laughs at me for getting swatted. Later, the balls disappear and everyone is heading back inside. A guy in a suit, weird guy, no eyebrows, plain expression, smooshed nose, starts going around asking adults lots of questions. Mom beats me with a wooden spoon and sends me to bed. A man knocks on the door. He tells Mom he is an investigator, asks to come in. Mom says no, she will talk to him outside. An hour later, Mom and my sister came back inside. Everything is quiet. A couple of days later, I asked about the lights. She does not remember a thing, not even beating me with a wooden spoon. Creepy.
This one just happened over Christmas break. Not so much nope, but weird as shit. I sleep with my laptop on a table next to my bed. I got in the habit of writing my dreams down as soon as I awake in a Word document. It gets easier and easier to do the more you do it. I am at the point where I am still half asleep typing my dream. The only problem is it is full of typos and broken sentences. I wake up 2 days ago, have a strange dream that my brother came home and we have a crazy time in town at bars and random houses. In the afternoon, my brother comes home unexpectedly. Crazy, I dreamed that dot text. That evening, we went to town, get drunk, find ourselves at 3 different random house parties. I have intense feelings of deja vu. I cannot quite place it. By this time, I cannot remember much from my dream. I made out with a girl I knew from high school. I still cannot shake the weird feeling. I eventually go home. The first thing I do is check the dream file. In choppy typing, I had written down to a T my entire night. I even wrote how kissing the girl felt kind of like deja vu. At this point, I am getting kind of frustrated. I am trying to remember writing the dream that morning. I am trying to force a clear memory of having the dream. The last line in the dream file feel not like deja vu or dream. Wake up and write again to find out. Had a hard-ass time falling asleep after that. Thankfully, I was drunk and eventually did.
Not going to type every detail, but here's some highlights of the haunted house I lived in through high school. I moved into a house at 15 sometime in June of 2005. It was an older house, sturdy, and had an interesting layout. My closet protruded from the walls. My mom had some seriously creepy sleep-talking or walking issues where she would tell me some lady, who she later incoherently told me offed herself at my mom's wedding, was in the house to get me and take better care of me. Weird shit like that for a week. Then it stopped, and she never remembered any of it. Flash forward like a year. I find a part of my closet where the doors hang from on the inside has a couple 2x4s protruding, basically making a shelf. No one knew about the shelf but me, so I hid everything you did not want someone to find up there. I continued using the shelf till we moved out. Flash forward to 2008. I just graduated high school. My parents bought a house in the next town over. Everything moved out except for a couple of my things because I stayed a couple nights in the empty house so I could get to work and whatnot. The last day there, I walked through the house feeling all sentimental. I mean, this house was the place of my first everything, and I loved that house very much. I remember my old hiding spot. I knew I'd already cleared everything out, but I figured, why not check again? I reached up there. I feel a piece of paper. What the fuck? The piece of paper says, in little chicken scratch handwriting, "We hope this house brought you as much joy as it did for us." September 2005. I still have the letter to this day. My parents are freaked out by it. My friends tell me to burn it. I think it's a good omen. Who knows?
First time posting this story online, it happened to me around 14 years ago. Be me 15 or 16 in Eastern Europe. Spend all night playing Dota, have to wake up at 6:30 to go to school in the snow. Fuck that. I want to sleep instead, but I am forced to go out. I snatched the key for the attic on the last floor of our Soviet-style building. Basically, most old buildings here have an attic and basements where each family owns one room to be used as storage. I go up to the 17th floor and unlock the heavy lead door. I go inside the dusty concrete and brick corridor and flick on the light bulb. I lock the metal door behind me. I go through the corridors to our storage room. Nobody else around as expected. Our storage room has a bed, rug, and couch that my older sister uses as a hangout spot sometimes. It is pretty comfy. I get in, lock the door and try to sleep, but it is winter and the room is completely uninsulated. I lay with the winter jacket and blanket over me, just shivering and trying to rest. I am feeling retarded, wondering if school was better. Half an hour later, I hear footsteps in the corridor outside. I figure it is some old guy neighbor with no job waking up early. The footsteps eventually slowly go up to my door until I hear them stop in front of it. There is no other storage room either next to or opposite ours. It is the last room of this corridor. I am weirded out and wide awake at this point and just staying quiet looking at the door. The door handle moves. I am unnerved, staring at the door without blinking. The door is locked but made from literally the cheapest shit material. The door handle very slowly moves from horizontal to 45 degrees and stays there for a while. I keep staring intensely for almost an hour watching the door, no further movement, and no further footsteps of anyone leaving. I eventually fall asleep. I wake up and it is around 11, light outside and warmer. I unlock the door and head out, holding keys as a brass knuckle. Nobody is there. The main metal door is still locked. I brushed it off later as me being sleep-deprived or some neighbor or a hobo walking around. A few months or a year later, my older sister is up there in the storage room with her friend hanging out and drinking. Me and my mom are a few floors down in our regular apartment. Suddenly, my mom gets a call from my sister. She is crying over the phone and saying that somebody is outside their door, walking around and turning the door handle trying to get in. They screamed and yelled at him to leave, but there is no answer. My mom grabs a chef knife and takes the elevator up there scared. We went there and there was nobody. The main metal door was still locked as well. The cops found nothing also. Likely not paranormal, but the corridors are very straightforward and there is nowhere a person could hide except in the other storage rooms which only the flat owners have the keys to. Our neighborhood was very safe as well back then. I read some other stories here about some psychopaths living in the walls and crawl space of people's houses and coming out at night, wondering if this was a similar case.
Be me, be 12. My parents are divorced. My mom moved to a new house. The house is on a long driveway surrounded by woods. We basically have our own street because the town planner fucked up. Anyways, I slip getting out of the shower and get a double concussion. I could have died apparently, but that is not important. I'm out most of the grade. My sister moved out of my mom's house. I take her room, which is basically a big attic. Sometime in January, I am 13 now. I cannot sleep like usual. I leave the lights on in one half of my room because I am afraid of the dark. I begin to doze off. I feel like there is something behind me. I dismiss this as paranoia from my concussion. Eyes closed. .jpg. I hear what sounds like someone biting and snapping their teeth behind me. I feel something clawing my back. I suddenly feel like I jumped out of my body. I can see everything now. It looks like a demon that was torn apart, red skin, bloody and covered in cuts. Its legs were gone. Its eyes look like they have been ripped out and the sockets sewn shut and scarred over. Its horns were twisted and deformed, going in and out of its head. Horse-like teeth snapping at me. Its claws look like they are writing in my back. I cannot move. In 8th grade, I turn into a complete sociopath. I get into a fight with a kid. He runs out of the woods and punches me in the head. He keeps slamming my head, but I do not go down. I start to win. His friends break it up and say, "End of the round." Next round, I draw him away from the crowd by backing up. I pulled some Jackie Chan shit I did not even know I could do. I put him in a headlock. He cannot breathe. He starts to cry. I start laughing. Everyone thinks I'm gonna kill him. He stops moving. I drop him and he runs back to the crowd. He says, "Next round, I walk over to a pile of logs intending to end his life. He would be dead if the police had not come to break it up. Over the summer, I get into magic and voodoo. I begin to crave blood. I'm angry a lot. I am depressed. I have violent episodes where my body convulses and I feel stronger than Arnold in his prime. The veins in my forearms form pitchforks. I get headaches in church. Other holy things do not really affect me, though. I begin to babble like I'm talking in a different language. I use Google Translate. Apparently, I am talking about kings and shit in Latin and Maori. I see visions of snakes and other things. The littlest shit ticks me off.
I hope that you enjoyed tonight's broadcast. If you enjoyed tonight's story, then please subscribe to the channel as more Greentext will appear daily. A new broadcast will appear when the clock strikes midnight Central Time.